that's like one thing that I guess wish there had been, and like especially in my high school, it was like very I don't know how to say it, but liberal white community.
Sure. So this podcast is about you, your journey in music, and we'll talk about the new music you have coming out and
Cool.
how you got to where you are now.
Love it. Great.
Sweet. So first off, where were you born and raised?
I was born in Boulder, Colorado, and I lived there pretty much my whole life. And then I went to school in San Diego. That was the
Did
first
you
time I
really?
left.
I'm from San
Mhm.
Diego. That's so
Are
awesome.
you? Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Where
Did
are
you
you
go to?
from?
I'm from North County, like
Okay,
Rancho
cool.
Penasquitos area. Did you go to
Nice.
San Diego State or
Yes. Yeah.
did you really? That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Did you go to San Diego State? No.
No,
Okay.
I went to Cal State San Marcos, which was the
Okay.
north side of it.
Mhm.
And it was weird because when I was going to school and growing up, San Diego State was like super impacted, which it still is, I'm sure.
Right.
But San Marcos was such a new school that they wanted people to go there, especially if you
Mhm.
lived in San Diego. So if you lived north of the 56 freeway,
Yeah.
you had basically it was near impossible to get into San Diego State unless you had like straight A's. But if you lived south of the 56, it was just like getting easy to get into just like a, your home state school. But it was
Yeah.
really hard to get into San Marcos. Actually, I don't even know if they had limitations for San Marcos. It's just because they wanted people to go there.
Right.
So I wanted to go to San Diego State, but I just didn't have the
Yeah.
the grades
I
to
mean,
cut it.
yeah, I was gonna say I definitely did not need straight A's to get in, but I was out of state, so
Well, yeah, they let people from everywhere else had it. It wasn't the same standards, which was just
no,
bizarre because they wanted
that's so
people to go
annoying.
north.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wish I would have went there. I knew a lot of
Yeah.
people that lived south of me that got a chance to go to San Diego
Yeah.
State.
Yeah, it was a good time.
That's cool. That is
Yeah.
cool. I hung out there a lot. Partied there a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I bet.
Okay, so you grew up in Boulder, Colorado. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, I my parents split up when I was like in 4th grade, and so I lived like split time between the two of them. My dad lived on one side of town. I mean, they were like 20 minutes apart. So I mean, it was yeah, I don't know. It was difficult to navigate at first, just like in the
Sure.
middle school, high school years, splitting a home. But that it ended up all being for the best. I'm sure we'll get into talking about this a little bit because it's kind of the basis of my newest song that's coming out.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good time. It was, very liberal area.
Hmm.
But not a lot of diversity, I guess. I don't know. I wish that's like one thing that I guess wish there had been, and like especially in my high school, it was like very I don't know how to say it, but liberal white community.
Sure.
um and yeah, I mean, and all the things that came along with that, but it was good. I think that, I wouldn't change it for the world. I was able to grow up and go skiing on the weekends because we were so close to the mountains, and very thankful for that. So,
Hmm. I
yeah.
want to ask some more questions there, but I'm curious. Why
Yeah.
did you decide to go to San Diego State?
So, my family I have a bunch of family that lives in Coronado.
Oh, ooh,
Yeah.
very nice.
I know, very, very bougie. Yeah. And also just like all around kind of San Diego area and just California. Like my dad's from California.
Okay.
My dad's from Northern California, but so I like always was just in love with San Diego. We went there pretty much once a year for a family reunion, and
That's cool.
so it was kind of like a second home to me. And so growing up, I was just always like, I want to be in California and by the beach. And so I applied to like a bunch of different schools in California, and then San Diego just ended up being the place that stuck. And I felt like, oh, if I, need to call family, like they're close by, which I didn't really end up doing once I was actually in college, you know how it
Sure.
goes, but it's nice to have the comfort, knowing that it's there.
Totally, totally. Well,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's really cool that you
Yeah.
decided to come to San Diego State. And I mean,
Yeah.
Coronado, wow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So our family reunions are in Coronado, which was,
Oh,
quite a treat and a very privileged place to have a reunion.
Yeah, my wife's friends' parents have a property there, and it's insane.
God.
Like, I
What?
know
Yeah.
people think like, La Jolla or like, I mean, region from Rancho Santa Fe is insane, but like
Hmm.
you see the houses in Coronado and like not only are they amazing and gigantic, but they're literally on the beach, and the beach in Coronado is like
It's.
vacant for the most
I was
part.
gonna say it's just like gorgeous. Yeah, vacant is a good term. It's like I think it's getting a little more crowded as time goes on because people are discovering it more. But
Willing to
yeah,
drive over that gnarly bridge to get
right.
there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. The peninsula.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you have any siblings, real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Curious. Okay.
Yes. So I have a also in regards to the song, but yes, I have a little brother who's my real brother, I guess. And then I have a stepbrother and a stepsister that
Okay.
are from my dad. Both my parents ended up getting remarried to fabulous people. And my stepmom has two kids that are like essentially the same age as me and my brother. So
Oh wow.
that was really fun. It could
Mm.
have ended up being because we all basically it's from like eighth grade for me on through high school, we all lived together. So that was interesting and could have been, it
Disastrous.
could have gone one of two ways. Yeah, and it ended up being really great and we're all super close now. Like I consider them, I just call them my brother and sister, but
Sure.
technically they're my stepbrother and sister.
Okay. And what about
Yeah.
music in your household? Anyone else musical?
Yeah, so going back to the family reunion thing, I wonder if actually being from San Diego, do you ever know the Beet Farmers? Have you ever heard of the Beet Farmers?
Honestly, the name does sound familiar.
Yeah, they played around town a bunch, but it's my uncle Joey, and well, the band kind of broke up, but he still plays around town. But so our family reunions were very musical, and my uncle Nicky, who was also in Coronado, was in the Kingston Trio. I don't know if you're
I
familiar, but
I actually know that band.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were very big in their time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is like as far as like the musical background goes, that was there. And at our family reunions, we always like put on basically my uncle Joey, who's in the Beat Farmers, would put on like he would play guitar and everyone sings like everyone has a good voice, everyone's musical. I'll say my immediate family, like my mom and my dad, are not necessarily musical. Like my mom really can't sing. She likes music. Like we always grew up with music being in the house. And my dad is decent. He has a decent voice, but like they definitely music was like a huge part of our household.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they like sang and played instruments, that wasn't necessarily the case, but there was always music going. They were always like doing music trivia on me and making sure that I knew like this is this song, this is who wrote it, this is like
Oh, that's
and
cool.
yeah. So I mean, it was always around, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I did
And
have a nanny growing up who was, I guess, like when I really think about it, and I thought about this the other day for the first time because I guess I had sort of forgotten because I was so young, but she was she was kind of like I guess she was like rock and roll, but she was my nanny from like until I was maybe like 7 years old. And her name was Sky. Her name is Sky. And she had like one of the most beautiful voices. And she would always sing me The Little Mermaid going to sleep.
oh, okay.
And she really got me into music. So I would attribute a lot of my like musical fascination to her.
Okay. That's really
Yeah.
cool. And what
Yeah.
about like playing an instrument? How did that, or when did that come into your
So
life?
my mom does play piano and she
Okay.
always she grew up playing and I wish she would play more. She's like very shy about playing, but um so she kind of made me play piano at a young age, but and I kick myself now because I stopped playing because I just I was so young and my teacher was like wanting me to play classical and it was just
Oh yeah.
very like by the book and not super fun. And so I was
Hmm.
like, please don't make me go to piano. And like I was just not that into it. And then I finally switched to guitar. And then I forget exactly what happened. I had like a couple guitar lessons with like a few different teachers. And then I ended up just sort of like teaching myself with like YouTube channel,
Okay.
I guess, lessons. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
How old
I still
when you got the guitar? Sorry.
when I got the, oh, no, you're fine. I guess like when I was in like 8th grade, probably like a middle schoolish
Okay.
area. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I stopped playing piano like elementary school, and then I probably took like a couple years off, and my parents were like, you have to do something. You have to, because I always sang and I was obsessed with music, and they were like, well, you need to play an instrument. And, you know, so I was like, okay, well, guitar is like the cool thing to do. So I'm
So
going
you
to do
picked up
that.
the
And
guitar.
then,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. So now and during quarantine, my friend who moved left me his keyboard, and I hadn't touched it for like 2 years. And then during quarantine, I was like, maybe I'll pick up the piano. And it was funny because actually a lot of the muscle memory sort of came back from like years past. And
Wow.
so now I'm like all in on piano, and I've been sort of doing the YouTube kind of lessons thing again, and just looking at tabs and such online, and picking that back up. So now I'd say I play a little bit of both.
Sure, that's cool. And then you have
Yeah.
the ear for it now, right? You can hear
Yeah.
if it sounds like you're playing the right chord or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. I do wish that I had stuck with piano because I feel like I would have been more technically trained, but
I've heard this
hey, you
story
can't
before
go
though,
back. I
yeah, a
know.
lot of people
Yeah.
stopping, but it always comes down to the teacher, right? It's always like, and then I didn't want to play because this person like either, they slap my hands if I wasn't sitting correctly, or they
I
made me play all
know.
this trash I didn't want to play. I mean, you could make a killing if you're a piano teacher and we're like, what do you want to learn how to play? And then just like
Right.
really
Well,
included them in the
I know it's so
process.
true. And I feel like now, like, because I feel like when I was growing up, that just like, it wasn't even really an option, or like they hadn't really gotten into, there wasn't like, I feel like the internet was just coming up. So like there wasn't like
Mhm.
tabs. I don't know. I feel like it's just we've come a long way as
Sure.
far as like I'm sure, now they realize, oh, we got to get kids to play the shit they want to play.
Right, right.
you
Or
know.
they can just go on YouTube and learn, and then I'm
Right.
out of a paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah, true. True. There is something to be said about having someone sitting there with you and like actually teaching you as opposed to learning just online. It's not, especially if you're a very very beginner, you want someone to show you like the scales,
Right. And even if you're like guitar, like how to
how to
push the
hold your
strings down
hands. Yeah.
correctly. And I mean, you could try to fumble along and follow, but not
Yeah.
necessarily sound anywhere
Yeah.
close to what the person's doing on the
Yeah, right.
YouTube video.
Yeah.
Well, so you get the guitar, start playing guitar in middle school. When do you start writing songs?
So I was writing songs long before I was playing any instruments, I think. So I had a girl band growing up when I was in like elementary school, and we were convinced we were going to be like the next Spice Girls or Bewitched. I don't know if people remember Bewitched, but we were obsessed with Bewitched. Um, and we were called the Candy Girls, and my dad, God bless him, was like our biggest fan, and got us like I think it was like a friend of a friend, but she did like a full photo shoot with us, and we had like actual CDs made, and we went into like a proper recording studio and recorded 2 of our songs. Um
Wow.
but yeah, we were very in it. Like when I think back on it, we had all of these, and I still have, my dad kept a folder of all of our songs, and there was like 20 songs, and they all have they all have like cutouts. We would always make like collages of like the Bop magazines. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember
sure.
those, but
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, like all those magazines when they were the thing and so cool. And we would cut out pictures of like Mandy Moore and like glue them onto the lyric sheets, and like have like bubbles coming out of the people,
Yeah, yeah.
What so yeah, it's really fun to look back at all the lyric sheets because they look like works of art. But yeah, so I was writing music, to go back to that question, since I was in like second grade, probably. Just I didn't know what the hell I was writing about. Like I
Hmm.
thought that I knew what love meant or was, but I was just kind of following like the storylines, I guess, of what the pop princesses were singing about, and just like wrote my own versions of that. We had a song called Cool Coffee Shop. And it was basically like
That's
one
actually a
day.
pretty solid title.
Yeah, I know. It's
Timeless
honestly
title.
a timeless title, and we listen back now. We still sing it at the family reunion. I love how the family reunion has been like a common theme in this interview. I never talk about it, but yeah, the San Diego. We all still sing the. My cousins and I also had a band that was like adjacent to the Candy Girls because we would sing. I would like go to the family reunion and sing them all my songs, and then we would all perform them at the family reunion. And our band was called the Pink Chicks.
Okay. But you had your own original song. I mean, to have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
folder of what you said, 20 songs or so.
Hmm.
And were they just like, did you have full, like everyone was playing an instrument, or was it more like a girl group, like pop
You know,
group like that?
yeah, no, we didn't. We just like didn't. No one played an instrument. We just like sang all of it together, which is weird to think about. But then when we did the proper recording of the two songs, our demo EP,
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, like we had someone hired. I have no idea. I have to ask my dad like where these musicians came from, but he must have hired or had friends hired like a pianist, like a drummer, like all these people came and played
Wow.
along with our songs. Like they had melody and they did everything, but we never had any instruments that were a part of it.
That's cool though, to have that
Yeah.
recording. I mean, wow.
Yeah, it's really something. I'll release it at some point, you
You
know.
should.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, well, after this group and like you're moving on, you get the guitar, you're playing guitar. Like, when do you kind of start? Like, are you playing out as a solo artist at all, or did you have a band through high school?
So in high school, I was in the choir. I was in the it was called the Madrigals. It was like an all-girls choir. And I was in that, and so I kind of dabbled, I guess. I throughout high school I was still writing my own music, but I was just like being a high schooler. I don't think
Mhm.
I was fully knowing what I was going to do with music at that point. I was involved in choir and like a couple plays and like the drama programs throughout high school, and I still wrote on my own, but I never fully went for it until I when I went to San Diego. I would play for friends, and then I think that really when I was in San Diego was when my friends were like, you need to really do something with this. Like you should go to LA and like try to like make this really happen. And I always wanted to, like it was always my dream. I guess I just kind of not got discouraged, but a little bit, I guess, with feeling like it was a really hard thing to achieve, which I mean, I know even more about how hard it is to achieve now. But
Mhm.
I just was like, I'm going to college. I feel like my dad was like, you really need to get a real career and at least have a solid foundation before you really try to do that. He's always been my biggest fan and, supportive of my dreams, but he was like, you need a backup plan essentially.
Right. Right.
So
Just being
I
a dad, like, okay,
just being a
well,
dad. Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
I want to have
exactly.
something if this doesn't work
Yeah.
out.
Right. Yeah, and so but, I always kept at it. I played around, like, a couple different, like, just kinda like open mic nights in San Diego where I'd play songs or covers or whatever, and and then when I got out of college, I wanted to work in music, so I was or not volunteering, but I did an internship with this, music festival company, and that I had moved back home to Colorado when I was doing this, and it was like a summer program, and my boss had seen because I had started a YouTube channel, so I was like
Okay.
posting covers and stuff on YouTube like throughout college. And she had seen me post, I think on like my Facebook or something, a video of me singing a Beyonce cover, and she was like, "What the hell are you doing working for me? Like you need to be like the girl." She was like, "You need to be doing this for you. Like you need to be the star or whatever."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Oh yeah." Like she was like, "What are you doing behind the scenes helping me?" And so then I really thought about it, and I don't know, it had been just like a common narrative in my head, and finally I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna make this happen." I don't know, I was like, "I'm back home. Why am I back here? I want to go." And so then my roommate from college started working for Universal Music Group and Interscope Records in
Mhm.
LA, and he was like, "You need to move back here and make this happen." So I moved back here, back to LA, or I hadn't moved, I guess back to California,
Mhm.
and then just that was when I really started started making it happen for myself.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
covers are awesome. I love the
Thank you.
Halsey cover you did actually. Like I
Oh,
was
thank
listening to
you.
that one earlier. Yeah, it's
I don't
really
even remember
good.
which song was Bad at Love.
Yeah,
Is
you
that
did
it?
Bad at
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So
I'm
when you were
blanking a
playing
little bit.
even around San Diego, what do you remember where you were playing? What open mics? The stats maybe?
It was like in PB, like some
Oh,
places in
okay.
PB. Uh, and then, God, I can't remember any of the bars names or like any of the um
It's all right.
Beechwood. I don't know. Yeah,
PB
yeah.
bars. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm trying
I
to think
can't. I
PB
don't
like,
even know
well,
if
that
they're
place has
still
changed
there.
so much. Yeah,
I know.
it's totally
I know.
different.
Yeah,
It's wild. Like going back, I'm like, whoa, what happened to like all of this? It's just
I
weird.
know. It's kind of sad. Yeah.
Okay, so you moved to LA. What year did you move to LA?
23rd, 2014, 2013 or 14. I can't
Okay.
remember.
So
Yeah.
you get out to Los Angeles. You have obviously have a handful of songs at this point. And what do you do?
Yeah.
Your friend
Yeah. So
works
he worked
in the
at
industry or
yeah,
yeah,
he worked in the
Interscope.
industry. I mean, it's not like he could really plug me in there. He was like on the marketing brand partnership side of things, but
Sure.
he did have kind of just insight into, I was so green to the
Mm-hmm.
entire thing and just really had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I think I thought like, oh, you moved to LA, you like do, I don't know, like play your songs for a couple people and you become famous. And like that's it. And I was in for a rude awakening with that. But I'm grateful for all that I learned. And I think yeah, so he would kind of help me out like strategically as far as like what covers to post. Like I was
Okay.
really into my YouTube channel at this point and like trying to get it because I had seen so many people like you start a YouTube channel and then they get discovered from their YouTube channel, like, Ariana Grande and like
Yeah.
all
Tori
these
Kelly
young
did
Tori
that.
Kelly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, and exactly. So that was kind of and that was the one thing that I felt like I had control over. Like, in this business, you really don't have control over much. It's kind of like up to everybody else where you go.
Mm-hmm.
And like you'll take a meeting and then you'll hear nothing or you hear something and then you're just like waiting. I feel like you're just constantly waiting and hoping on other people to make the decision in the right direction for you. And so this YouTube channel became like my safe place, I feel like, because I was like, oh, okay, this is something that I can do that I have control over and I can be like there's a determining factor here of like what song I put out and how I do it and like where it goes. And I feel like it really was, as silly as it sounds, it was like the thing that got me in and got me hooked up with new writers, because then writers and producers would find the YouTube channel. Or like, I tried out for The Voice a long time ago and they had found me on YouTube. And um just like that was kind of the way it was, I guess. I mean, I think
Mm-hmm.
it still is, maybe not as much, but now it's TikTok.
TikTok, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
same thing.
Same thing. Exactly. But yeah, and so I just like really leaned into that. And I don't even know where I was going with this. I forget what you asked at the
I was
beginning.
just wondering
But
because you get to LA and then it's like, okay, now I'm here in this new town. What do I do
yeah,
now?
exactly. And so yeah, I started, I had to get a side job. I got multiple side jobs. I nannied for a couple different kids like full time, and then I worked at a sports bar and I drove for Uber for a while. And just I did a bunch of stuff because
Mhm.
obviously I wasn't making any money on music, and it's really hard. I feel like when you first start out, you just until you like put music out or are making any money on music, it's difficult because you also have to have a side job and then you make music your second job when you're done with all the rest of it, and it's a lot. And so that was also where I was making a little bit of money off of YouTube actually also, which was nice.
Okay. Okay. And when did you
Um,
decide to release your own first song? Like, okay, because it sounds like YouTube was just a lot of cover or was covers, right?
YouTube was just covers, yeah.
Okay.
But I guess yeah, where I was going with that was that YouTube was where I met, or I guess because I had posted a lot of the YouTubes and stuff on other social media platforms, and then I would get messages from like writers and producers being like, yo, we should write together. Like, have you put out any music yet? And so then through that, I got connected to a bunch of different people. And then that's when I really started like going to sessions and writing with, writing with different writers and producers. And then I, had a finally like a batch of songs that I really liked. And I kind of picked the best one and put together like a music video for it. And so I started just kind of, and I feel like this was even before, or at least it was like really at the beginning when people were starting to just independently release like on Spotify. Like it was very much the beginning stages of that.
Okay.
But so I did it, and then I guess from there it like started building traction, and then I kind of I can't even remember actually at the beginning. But so I put out a song called China, and then another song, and then that led me to these other writer producers who then are responsible for like majority of my back catalog now.
Okay.
I started writing with them a lot, and we became kind of like a little trio of songwriters, and I feel like that's when things really started taking off, and Spotify started noticing and like put me on New Music Friday, and it was all like completely organic and independent, and it was really awesome. And then as things started continuing and picking up steam, I feel like the more people that I was introduced to were like, but you're like country,
Hmm.
and why aren't you in Nashville? And I was like, I don't know. I'm in LA. And I didn't really, I just had been there. And so, and from my YouTube too, people were like, you have like a twangy kind of sound to you. And so then um, I can't, I guess it was, I forget who the first person was, but basically I started taking trips out to Nashville and doing writing sessions out there. And the more that and then I started working with my manager, who we've been together for like almost a little over 3 years. And
Hmm.
he was like, because I started taking meetings in Nashville and publishing meetings and label meetings, and everyone was like, you know, I mean, not everyone, but if they liked me, they were like, we like you, but you really need to be here. Like it's a totally different world. And so I finally, in the middle of 2019, was like, I'm gonna bite the bullet and move to Nashville. And so I've been here ever since, and it's definitely proved to be fruitful. I definitely wish that I had moved sooner, but
That's so
coulda, woulda,
funny. I didn't know
shoulda.
you were actually in Nashville. I'm in
Oh
Nashville
yeah.
too.
Are you? Oh, hi.
Yeah. Are
Oh,
you? No, just kidding.
I know. I'm like, hey.
Yeah, that's so funny because I
Mm-mm.
came from San Diego. I came from California, and I moved here in February of last year. My family and I moved here.
Oh my God, look at us twins.
I know, and I love it here.
Me
This is the
too.
best decision I ever made.
I couldn't agree more.
That's amazing. I did read that
Yeah.
you, I mean,
Yeah.
being a country girl, and you kind of like I saw a quote. I don't even know if you said it because it's in print about kind
Yeah.
of having like that imposter syndrome because you weren't from the South, yet you're writing
Yeah.
these country songs.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I feel like there's a very common misconception in regards to my story that I'm from LA and a California girl. And you know, I guess I am to some respect because I lived there for so long, but
Right.
I'm from Colorado, which to me is its own sort of version of country. It's not the South, but I feel like Colorado has like very much country elements to it. Just like the state alone. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's like
No, yeah, for sure. It's
it
not
has, yeah.
California. It's not
It's not
beaches
Cal,
and palm
right.
trees.
Yeah, and there's like I grew up on a farm essentially with like horses, and not that you need that to be country, but I guess I just forget because I do. And to go back to that kind of thing that you said about that quote and me having imposter syndrome, I did, and I still do, but I feel like I've realized that I just need to know that being from the South or not, I'm a country writer, I'm a country musician, and it's its own thing. I call it grungery or southern pop
Hmm.
lately, like grunge country. um because and I have so many different influences, but I feel like to put me in a box, or just to put anyone in a box, is just I don't know, foolish, because
Sure.
I feel like the genres are all bending and changing all the time, but at my roots, I'm a storyteller, and I've always listened to country music and been inspired by it. And, country music, I feel like has helped me so much growing up and helped kind of shape who I am. And so no matter where I'm from, I still am a country
Mhm.
girl.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone has imposter syndrome, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to like creative stuff, because it's like
Yeah.
so, like it's not like very. I can't think of the word off the top of my head, but it's like all
Mhm.
opinions. It's like yeah.
For sure. It's all subjective, yeah.
It's subjective was the word I
That's
was
what
looking
you're
for.
yeah. 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 It is, and I mean, I think being here, like and the longer that I'm here, the more that I feel like I'm sort of like integrated into it. But I get why everyone told me to move here, because the country space is its own world in a sense. And I think it's really great. It's just kind of it's difficult to tap into, I guess, if you're not in the mix. And
Mhm.
I never understood that until I was here and realized how important it is to really be in this mix and like out playing and doing the writers rounds and all of those things and meeting all the people. It's just like so important, and it's just its own little bubble, I guess,
Mhm.
of yeah. Do
I
you know what I
totally agree.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure, for sure. That's what. Yeah, the publishing companies are here. I
Mhm.
mean, you're learning the thing. I was never really huge into. I love country, like like the storytelling aspect of it, and that's why I think you're such a great songwriter with, especially with your lyrics. Like
Thank you.
you can write lyrics that are relatable, but not in like. Sometimes I'll hear a country song, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty cheesy. But like you'll write these lyrics that I'm like, wow, like that's a way better way of saying something that like I feel like has maybe not been said before, but like had a similar vein, but like in a big country song that's cheesy. And it's like, oh, like that you accomplished it like 100,000 times better.
Oh my
And
god,
just the
wow.
way, yeah, I'm dead serious. And then I love how you said you don't put yourself that you shouldn't be put in a box, because you shouldn't. I mean, knock yourself out. You have a song, two songs with Iggy
Icky.
Azalea. I can't speak either.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I mean? It's not. If somebody put that record on, they wouldn't be like, oh, she's a country artist.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you. That's really, really so nice of you and such a compliment. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think, and I want to not pave my own lane necessarily, but I still want to be unique and be myself, and I want to just be, I guess, authentic to who I am, which is, you know, many different, I guess, in I was influenced by many different genres. So
Hmm.
I feel like that naturally just comes out. And I think it comes out in anyone, whether they're quote unquote pop or quote unquote country or hip hop or R&B. It's like, but everyone's so different. And so that's, I feel like, what makes music special. If it was all the same, it would be boring.
Hmm. Definitely. I definitely agree. And to say that Nashville, like I moved here thinking it was a country town, and it's
Right.
not by any
No,
means. I mean, there's
it's
every
just a
genre of
music
music is it's
town.
a music town,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And there's people that I'm like, I've talked to and interviewed, I'm like, wait, what? You live in Nashville? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You're
Yeah.
like a hardcore band or a pop band or whatever it is. It's just
Totally.
interesting to see the talent here is insane, but it's not all country artists that live here in town. But
No.
um
Yeah, I know. And I think even more, it's growing to be, I think it started as more country, in
Oh,
its
for
roots.
sure.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, just the way that the town is, and I think more people are just like, wow, this is incredible. We should all be here. And so the
Hmm.
the music has grown exponentially.
And that's why half of California is moving here too,
Hmm.
if you notice
I know.
that.
I don't think the people that are from here are that excited about
No, it's like,
that.
oh, hey, where are you from? California.
I know. I'm like, oh yeah, no,
Well,
biting
you
my
could
tongue.
claim
Yeah.
Colorado at least. They
Yeah,
probably won't
true,
hate you
true.
as much. They hate
Yeah.
me.
Just have to lie,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, I want to hear about your new song. I
Yeah,
listened the most recent one I've heard is Sweetheart, which is such a
yeah.
great song.
Thank you.
And the way you use Sweetheart, like the way you take the two words apart in the song instead of just saying,
Mhm,
"Okay, oh, you're a sweetheart." You have a sweetheart.
mhm.
I thought that was super creative and clever as well. But so tell me about that song, and I want to hear about this new song you've been kind of teasing since the beginning.
Thank you. Yeah. I know that kind of happened organically. I like it. Sweetheart, yeah, is just I guess about, I came up initially with the concept, which you were just saying, the sweet in your heart, and that felt like a country kind of twist for it. And so my collaborator Adam Urone, who I wrote it with, and he produced it, but we wrote it over Zoom last year, and we were just kind of like, okay, how should we write this? I still see the sweet in your heart. And then it ended up kind of being this like celebratory song for a first love or a high school sweetheart kind of vibe. And instead of being the natural Sophia Scott way of like bashing an ex, I felt like I wanted to write a happier song, or like a reminiscent first love kind of song, and say, I'm wishing you well. And just, you know, there's something so wonderful about that feeling of a first love, and even if it didn't work out, just hoping like, oh, if you're still out there, and I hope that everybody sees the sweet in your heart kind of thing,
Hmm.
and just making it just this unconventional Valentine's Day song, because we put it out right around Valentine's
Hmm.
Day. But yeah, I guess that was kind of the thought behind that one.
Yeah, I
Uh,
like it. And it's such, like I said,
Thank
it's so
you.
creative. It's
Thank
so,
you.
yeah. And what's this new one? Because I don't know anything about the new one.
Yeah, it's so this is like my baby of a song. And it's I wrote it like actually almost 3 years ago
Wow.
to the day. I was just looking last night at the original note in my phone, and it was written on March 13th, which is crazy, in 2018. Oh, so it's 4 years old. Is that crazy? Yeah,
Wow.
almost 4
Isn't
years
that
old.
I think that was the day the world closed on the 20, like on in March 2013, 2020, I think it was.
Yeah, well, this was 2018,
I know,
so
but
not
it's
yeah.
weird that it was like to the day of like
I know. Sorry, I see what you're saying.
2 years to the day of whatever.
Yeah,
Anyway.
exactly. I know. Yeah, that. I hope that's not a bad like omen, but
Sorry for pointing that out.
no, it's fine. So I wrote that, and just going back to what we were talking about at the very beginning with my parents getting divorced, it was, a difficult time, as it is for anyone who has gone through that. But it was, I guess, when I wrote it, it was like the first time I had ever brought up that trauma, if we want to call it that.
Hmm.
And it was just a very, I guess, healing song for me to write. And it started with, the song is called One of These Days.
Okay.
It's coming out March 17th. And but I started writing it about that situation, and just, having to kind of be the bigger sister to my little brother, and feel like I had to protect him during this time, and just navigating going through something so difficult at such a young age, and having to grow up faster than I guess I would have hoped to.
Hmm.
Um and then, elaborating on not only that situation, but then onto my, like, the first verse is kind of about that, and then the second verse is about me with my own first love and my own first heartbreak. And then the third verse is kind of like me now, just basically figuring out life and being an adulthood, and how to pay your bills, and, navigate your friendships, and just new shit that comes your way. And then the chorus is basically like, I hope that all of these sort of hardships and all these hurdles that we had to go over make sense one of these days, essentially. And hoping that, I think that in every difficulty in life, there's usually some sort of lesson that can be learned. And so just, I guess, not being thankful for the trauma or the traumatic events, but being able to recognize that there's a lesson in
Hmm.
everything, and that you are able to evolve from it.
I love it. I love
So
it.
yeah,
I
that's
can,
that's that one. I'm excited for it. I've been holding on to it for so long, so I'm really excited about putting it out.
and it's coming out on March 17th.
March 17th. Yep.
Okay. Very, very cool. Do you have an
Yeah.
EP? Is that something
Yeah.
that's going to
So
be released as well?
so the EP is also called One of These Days. It's the title track of this. The
Okay.
EP is the title track of the song.
Okay.
And yeah, that will be coming out like late spring, early
Okay.
summer. So I'm also very excited about that because up until now I've only ever released singles.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my first real project and introduction to me as a as a body of work. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
myself
Yeah.
as a body of work. Yeah.
Very cool. Very,
Yeah.
very cool. And are you're
Yeah.
playing around Nashville still? Or do you have shows
Yeah.
coming up or anything?
Yeah. I don't have any show, I've been sort of just doing like one-off stuff
Uh-huh.
and a bunch of different writers rounds. They sort of will just come up. I don't really have any on the books as of right now, but
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, I want to come check you out,
Yeah.
especially since
Yeah. I
you're
mean, now
here
that
in
you're
town.
here,
That's
yeah. I
awesome.
know. Yeah, for sure. 100%. Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping the goal is to, get this EP out there and then hop on a little tour, but we'll see what ends up happening. It's obviously been more difficult with COVID and such. So,
Of course. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, very cool. I love what you have out so far. I can't wait to hear this new one. And I really, really
Thank you.
appreciate you doing this. This has been awesome. Thank you so
Me too.
much.
So wonderful talking to you. Thank you.
I have one more question for you, one more quick
Yeah.
one. Do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
Ooh, yes. Um, I think my advice is to it's too easy, but I would say just to believe in yourself because in this industry, it is so easy to lose your way. And, you can't necessarily count on everyone else to believe in you and to do that. And you just, it's easy to get cut down so quickly when there's like doors shutting in your face, metaphorically and maybe in reality. um, and I think if you don't believe in yourself, that you can't make it happen. And so just yeah, I guess that's my number one thing. As easy and maybe cheesy as it sounds, that's my advice.
Bringing it back